Welcome. Here we explore what it means to love, heal, and grow side by side.
A place for stillness, connection, and raw truth.
And together, we are the Sacred Two. All right, y'all. Welcome to the Sacred Two podcast. I'm Phoenix.
And I'm Rayna.
And we are the Sacred Two.
The Sacred Two. We're going to do that again.
We nailed that.
Good start.
So we originally started this podcast like months ago, and we recorded one episode, and it was with crappy equipment, and I mean, just kind of doing what we had at the time. But I have been able to invest in some higher quality equipment, and so now we're giving it another round. We only got one episode in when we did it before, and when we tried to record our second episode, a few of our shadows came up for, some of hers, some of mine, and I think we took a step back and said, you know what, we still got some things to look at before we really try to dive into this. And so here we are. I don't even know how many months later. I want to say 7 or 8, maybe.
Yeah.
And we've both been working. So what are you here for, babe?
Well, I mean, it's never an intention to set this polished love story, because the truth is we didn't fall into love. We survived into it.
Yeah. There was a lot that, we grow up in America and we see these Disney movies and Hallmark movie channel movies and Christmas stuff. And we think that we have an idea of what love is supposed to look like and what it's supposed to feel like. And I mean, you're my third wife. And I don't know how many times I've told you that I thought I knew what love was in my first marriage. I thought I knew what love was in my second marriage. And now I think I know what love is. And there may be another layer that I uncover again in the future. But what I find with you is different from anything that I've had before, because it's I don't want to be silly and say unconditional, but it really is and I don't think I've ever felt that way before, but it had nothing to do with my previous wives. It had everything to do with my own projections of my bullshit onto them, and then expecting them to, I don't know if it was fix me or be the perfect thing so that I could feel better about myself. And it never worked.
Yeah, I am certain that it took us going from certain without a shadow of a doubt, falling in love, having that beautiful beginning of lots of time together. Fast forward 2 years and we're entertaining divorce. We're entertaining, maybe this isn't what we're supposed to be doing. And the moment that we both were looking at each other, it was for the first time we actually saw each other. And it was that realization of no matter who, what, or where, I've got bullshit inside of me. I've got some trapped trauma. I've got some stuff I've been hiding, repressing, and denying. And really, I'm going to be dealing with this. It isn't a you problem, it's a me problem. And so regardless of the narrative or the scene, I'm still going to be going through these issues. And the moment that we both were yeah, and we just choose you to do it all with, was really when everything changed.
Yeah. And for those who don't know us, or you've never heard our story, we're coming up on 3 years that we've been married on paper. And we went to high school together. And back then we knew of each other. We passed each other in the hallway and stuff like that, but we didn't ever talk or communicate or interact with each other. And I mean, I always thought she was beautiful, but she was I was the skater kid. And to me, she seemed like the preppy girl, and I don't know, how much of that is true. That's the story I created at the time. But fast forward 20 years and we run into each other through a series of unfortunate events in both of our experiences of life. And we just hit it off. There was a conversation about a karaoke night that I went to. And before I know it, I was on the phone with her for like 6 hours that night, 6 hours the next night. And then the next night she came over and didn't leave for 6 days. And it was about a month after that, right? That I borrowed my brother's trailer and I had her moved into my house and I was like, we're doing this. And it's like, I just knew. And I think in that first 2 years, it was a freaking roller coaster. Like, it was like, oh my God, I'm madly in love with you. Oh my God, I hate you. Oh my God, I'm madly in love with you. Oh my God, I hate you. And one thing I can say for both of us is during that time, by whatever grace that we had, we were able to forgive each other like over and over and over again and not hold on to it, and I think now that's not to say that there wasn't any holding on to it, because it would be like 6-7 months later that we would actually really talk about something that happened 6 or 7 months ago and like cry it out and like talk about the wounding that happened during that event or whatever it was. But like, it was just, I think that's where the unconditional part came from, is like, I've never been one to say no, even if this sucks. Like, I'm not going anywhere, and I think that learning to sit with discomfort is a very important part of being a healed human. Because if you can sit with discomfort instead of running from it, you can heal it.
Yeah.
And in my previous relationships, when it got uncomfortable, I was like, fuck this, y'all. I'm out. And it wasn't always divorce. It was just like, fuck this, and I remember myself like turning into that passive type, just, okay, whatever. Yeah, whatever. I'm stuck here. Might as well make the best out of it. I don't really want to be here, but what's the choice? What's the other choice? Or feeling, guilt because I had kids or guilt because I had somebody to take care of her, whatever the case was. And I'm kind of rambling now, so
lots of guilt,
jump
lots
in
of
whenever
shame,
you want.
And I was all in my masculine phase of life and had been, of course, at the time. I didn't know that's what that was called, but essentially that is what it was. And I didn't need anybody. I could do everything by myself. You're my second marriage. And, I was single for 8 years. And it was like my kids and my career were paramount above all and everything else. And how I was able to maintain all of that was by staying in my masculinity. But I remember just the utter exhaustion. And at the time, looking back, I didn't know that's what it was. But looking back, my hindsight, I was so tired. And so being with you and what you wanted, you weren't with me because of what I could do for you or give you or any of that. And you kept telling me, just do you, just be you. And it hit me, and it was so terrifying that I don't even know what the fuck that is. I've always been mom, or I've always been a label. And so to be in a situation where you just wanted me to be me and do what made me happy, it was terrifying. And so that's where my old wounds and old fears, would creep in. And that's where the fights, were spurned from, was just that I knew how to handle that previously, and it was matching energy. And so with you, it's been softening into my feminine. And it took me about a year, but it's so much more rewarding.
Yeah. And
so
it's
much more
rewarding for me too, like for real. And that's, there's, on the topic of masculinity and femininity, there's a lot that, I'm still learning a lot of that too, and in my own journey over the last 7 years, it went from, strict religious doctrine type Christianity in my mind, not necessarily that I practiced it that way, because I've always been a rebel. and it didn't bode well for me like that. But in leaving that mindset, that upbringing, and diving into like Hinduism and Buddhism and Taoism and all of the different things, like I started to understand polarity and the yin yang and the balance of in Buddhism, the biggest word that comes up for me when I think about Buddhism is balance, and finding that balance between the polarities, and I think of the yin yang, and it's like you've got your dark side, you've got your light side, and then you got the little S thing in the middle, and the S thing is like, that's the path. If you stay on that path, you're like tight roping between darkness and light, and you're balanced, and I feel like what we have found in our relationship over the past 3 years is that balance. And when we first came together, it was two type A masculine forces just trying to fucking make it work.
Yeah.
And it's like my soul, my little boy saw your soul and your little girl, and they were just like, this is it. This is the one. But our egos were like, fuck this bitch, like, you're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to do it, and it was like, it turned in almost to this, and I can't speak for your side. It did feel to me like there was a lot of like, I don't know if expectation is the word, because I don't think it is. It's just that like you were so used to doing things your way and almost like needing to like prove that you could, that I was going to either bow to you or not, and if I didn't, then I was going to suffer, and from on my side of those things, it's like I was, I talk about the shadow of intolerance so much because it's my evolution sphere and my Gene Keys profile. And it's essentially like the biggest or greatest lesson that I have to overcome to really settle into my life's work, which is rebirth, revolution, But before I can do that, I have to like overcome or integrate the shadows of reaction and the shadow of intolerance. And that's one thing that you have, or not, I'm not going to say you have taught me, because like you didn't necessarily like, like your traditional teacher stands in front of the classroom and teaches them some shit, right? But being with you has taught me just how intolerant I've been my whole freaking life. And it's like intolerance in ways of, not that I hated this group of people or this group of people, but like intolerant in the way that like, yesterday I wanted to, this is a true story. Yesterday I wanted to make some tea, right? And like I went in there and I started making the tea. Normally, since we've found this balance, like there's little to nothing I have to do for myself anymore. Because my beautiful bride like just takes care of me like I couldn't have ever imagined. Anyway, so normally she makes the tea, but prior to Rayna, pre-Rayna, I made the tea all the time, and I cooked all the time, and I did most of the chores in the house all the time, and stuff like that. And so, I go in there to make me some tea, and I start pouring the water from our filtration system into the pot, and I hear it shut off. And like normally when I make tea, I fill the pot almost to the top. When she makes tea, she fills it like a quarter of the way, maybe half. And it's just differences in how we do it. We achieve the same thing, but I have my way, she has her way. Well, I hear the water cut off, and I'm like, will you just let me make some tea, please? And she's like, yeah, okay, just make your tea. And then I was waiting for it because I knew it wasn't over with. But she goes, I just put less water in there because it's not as hot when you pour it in the pitcher. And I was like, okay, cool, thank you. I finished making tea, but I giggled to myself because like in both of my previous marriages, that would have caused a fight, a big one. And it's not necessarily because it's because there's a right or a wrong way to make tea, but it's like in my head, I have figured out the most efficient way to make tea, the best way, the way the flavor tastes the best, the way the temperature is the best, blah, 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 blah. And like, if you don't make it like me, you're making it wrong. And so I was intolerant of the unknown, right? Which is, if you make tea, I don't know how it's going to turn out. And I mean, ultimately, that's what intolerance in the Gene Key system is the intolerance of not having certainty.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm sitting there making the tea and like, I didn't tell you this part yesterday, so you're about to have a little surprise. But I walked in there as it was boiling and the tea bags were doing their thing. And I kind of giggled and I told her, I said, thank you for being my mirror. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, and I explained a little bit, but ultimately like that comment at the end where she's like, I do less water, so it's not as hot when you pour it in. Like, that's the same kind of shit that I would have said like to my previous wives to like drill my point home. And like, I can see it and not react to it and like just love you for wanting me to make the best tea in the world. But then I go in there and I'm like, yeah, well, I like putting the ice in the water with the sugar and mixing that up first, because then I pour the hot water into the cold water. And usually my tea goes in the fridge already cold, And then I get done making it and I put too much water in the pot. And so it was warm and it melted all the ice anyway. And I was like, well, fuck it. In my defense, I haven't had to make tea in like a year. So.
Or maybe two. I mean, really. And that's, I can remember, and thank you for sharing that, because like I saw all of that happening, because it was like, it's not that my way's the right way. It's just something I've been consecutively doing for all my life,
I will disagree and say that in a lot of ways, when you're in the kitchen, your way is the right way.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And I bow to that, because the shit that you make is like fire. Okay.
Yeah, it's I've always been a very intentional person, and if I can't be the best at it, I just typically didn't do it. And that's where this new, way of cooking and using food as medicine and everything from making the tea to the desserts to the serving of it and everything is all ritualistic for me. And, just honoring that. But I was like, okay, well, shit. I mean, hell, he probably wants to make some tea for himself. I mean, now he hasn't in a year or two. Okay.
I remember, on that topic, like I was probably, 9-10 months after you and your kids had moved in and everything. And I came home from work and I had planned on cooking dinner that night, because I was going to cook something that I cooked. It was guisado or something. And I started getting it ready and you were like trying to help. And I was like, hey, just go chill. I got this. And you were like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? I don't play video games or anything. And I was like, and I thought to myself, I was like, is she actually mad because I'm like not letting her do something? And it was very confusing for me at the time, because like, that's just how, I did it. Right. It's like and I think in a way, I told myself that the shiny coating on that way of living was that I was doing something for all the people that I love. But that was the lie I told myself, because underneath that was the shadow of control. If I did everything myself, then I didn't have to feel that intolerance. Yeah. If I did everything myself, then I didn't have to worry about somebody fucking it up.
Yeah.
And so like that's in being with you has really just, changed my life in such a tremendous way, because I've learned to like let people love me, let you love me, let you take care of me. And sometimes I struggle with that concept, because it's like, submission or surrender or
weakness,
giving in to me, or, whatever. And, in Christianity, I was, I guess, taught or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember somebody actually teaching me this, but I remember believing in the whole Proverbs 31 wife thing. Like, your wife is to submit to the husband as the husband submits to Christ, and, all this stuff. And so like, it's almost like over the last, 3 or 4 years, the word submit was a trigger word, because I don't want to be the man that insists on submission, or I want to be the man that earns it, if that makes sense now. Oh, yeah. That gives you a safe place, that it just naturally, you flow naturally into your feminine, and it's not even submission at that point. It's, I like the word surrender a lot more, because it's not surrendering to me. It's surrendering to the beauty of your nature.
Yeah, and it's literally like within my own four walls of my body. It's been more of a release. I didn't realize how much I was just carrying of, I could talk to somebody on the phone and just carry their story and their pain the rest of the day and sometimes the rest of the week. And
Yeah.
at the time I didn't realize it, but that's probably why I was a professional hermit for most of my adult life, was because like it was just exhausting. And so with you, I've learned that I can just release, I can just let go, I can just soften and rest in knowing that you've got me. And it's never been about like doubting your abilities at all or trusting you or anything. It was just, I've been used to a certain way my whole life, and that no one's ever bucked or questioned or anything else. They were just like, okay, okay, okay. And then you're asking all these questions, and I'm thinking like, well, but I had never really thought about it. And so,
Yeah.
being able to rest into and then learning that, I don't have to defend who I was. There's no reason why I should feel the need and then actually act out on defending who I was. Because, yeah, I'm still Rayna, but I'm a much more evolved and I wouldn't even say polished. I may get there one day.
I think you're pretty damn polished. I mean, look at you.
Well, thank you, honey. But yeah, so, when you say surrender being a trigger word, yeah, about 5, especially 10 years ago, that would have been like line drawn in the sand,
Yeah.
And so, like I say, not having the realization that I don't have to defend who I used to be or who I was, because she's who brought me here.
Yeah.
And just celebrating those moments and integrating those moments.
Yeah. And I mean, I talked a little bit at the beginning about how we started recording our second episode and we both got triggered, dove into our shadows a little bit, and it made it hard. And like, I mean, we finished the episode, but like, it was ugly. And it wasn't like,
Very
wasn't
little
like we were just
integrity.
like fighting
No.
on camera, like yelling at each other or anything like that. It was just,
Battle of the Bulge.
yeah, it's like the ego comes out. And then it becomes like this competition of who can make the other one feel smaller, and things like that. And it was just like, no.
And we're both very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. But in talking about the shadow of intolerance, when we recorded that was before I had learned about Gene Key 4
right before.
and the shadow of intolerance. Right. And so like, that's where I triggered. I mean, you might say that I was just constantly walking around triggered because I was so intolerant at that moment, like it was like, I'm going to drive this point home, show you why I'm right. And, and it's just like, and then I look back on it, I'm like, that was fucking stupid.
Yeah. Like I say, and it wasn't that we have anything to hide. Yes, we're very private people, but we also, we're almost like beckoned by the gods or the god or people, whatever you will. And people just are very fascinated and drawn to our relationship and our dynamic. And the amount of comments I've heard, throughout our time together is just, it makes me think, because it's like behind the scenes has been downright nasty, broken glass, slammed doors, chasing each other through town in vehicles, I mean, and wow, in my whole adult life, that was my first experience. But in a
Me
way,
too.
it was almost like I needed, before it was, well, the kids this, the kids that, well, my career this, my career that, the cows, the horses, it was so easy to just, instead of chasing someone through town or like drawing a line in the stand, it was okay, and then go off and do something else.
Yeah.
And so with you, like, it was like we had no other choice but to lay it out. We just learned that it doesn't all have to be laid out at once. And two, babe, I want to call you out.
Oh, shit.
And celebrate you. Well, seriously, on something, because, at the times, and it really started around March, April. I think this podcast was February, March, the last one. And, you know, when you started makes me emotional. When you would come to me and you would be like, I'm sorry, and just soften, and I could see that little boy inside. It was like, instead of seeing you as this monster, as somebody who was out to get me, I got to see that little boy inside who for so many years just was never seen and never heard. And you were impressed by me from the beginning, and you just wanted to measure up. And I just, you know, was making it so hard for you. And I just want to thank you for that, because when you started doing that, it really helped set the stage for my ability to start doing that. It was kind of like, oh, okay. You know, and not just saying, oh, I'm sorry, you know, wearing it out or anything, but like genuinely just coming to me and being like, hey, look, I was kind of an asshole, or, you know, I shouldn't have said that. You starting to do that was really what helped break that ice for me.
Yeah. And I don't know how I came to that.
Gene Keys is what I noticed.
Yeah, I think Gene Keys had a lot to do with it.
I remember intolerance. Like I say, I'm pretty sure it was March, April, not long after that second podcast we attempted. And your whole demeanor just shifted.
Yeah.
Like you had this childlike wonder that I had never seen in you.
Gene Keys, like, so, you know, like, I didn't even know what self-work, self-awareness, any of that was until about 2019, maybe 18. I think it was 18 when I went to that men's retreat. And I mean, prior to that, I'd heard the word shame, but I didn't know what shame really was. You know, the first counseling session, and I talk about that very fondly, very often, because the first counseling session that I actually went to, that wasn't just a pastor telling me to read my Bible, go to church, and pray more. And I still, like, I don't think I've expressed to Mark how much of an impact he made on my life just in the first 5 minutes that this dude talked to me. Because I walked in there and I said, man, if you tell me to read my Bible, go to church, or pray more, I'm walking the fuck out. And he's like, okay, we won't do that. And I sit down and he goes, man, you're carrying so much shame. And I'm like, what's that? What do you mean? And he explains to me that guilt is it's a healthy thing, right? Like if I hurt you, you know, and I feel guilty about hurting you, that guilt pushes me toward repairing that relationship with you, right? And so guilt's a healthy thing. Shame, on the other hand, is when guilt has been alchemized into self-hate, right? So it's the belief that you're bad. It's the belief that you're wrong, that you're broken. And he was right. You know, it's in, from the best I can understand, all of that shame, yes, a lot of it had to do with the things that I had done and the way I behaved and my actions and stuff like that. But it's because ultimately I believe that because of all those bad things and the actions and all the things I'd ever done wrong in my life, that I was unworthy of love, that I was irreparable, and that I was like just hopeless. And like I was a piece of shit of a human. And I mean, that's honestly, like, that's probably why I stayed in my first marriage as long as I did, because what was I going to do? You know, if I left her, there was nobody else out there that would want me. And then, that's when I learned about codependency too. And I was a very codependent person, even when we met.
Yeah.
I tried to be codependent with you, and you were like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're like,
hey.
this, hold on, I don't live like this. And I'm like, what?
Like
this is
what?
how relationships are supposed to be. That's what I thought anyway, at the time. And I mean, since then, we've both become these independent humans that choose to do life together, and it's fucking amazing. But so like, it wasn't until Gene Keys that, like, I mean, I'd done shadow work, I'd done counseling and done all the things I could possibly do. But when Gene Keys came into my awareness and I really dove into it and really started reflecting on these shadows and these gene keys. Then I really started uncovering little ugly parts of myself that were still contributing. Like, and I wouldn't say that I like, it wasn't that I was masking, because I feel like when, prior to that 7 years, when I was going to church and pretending like everything was okay all the time, like that was masking, but it's almost like in that first 4 to 5 years of like my own self-discovery, it's like I had created a whole new ego, that was like, I got it figured out. I'm healed now. Look at me. And then Gene Keys was like, bitch, guess what? You ain't got shit figured out yet. And I still don't, I've listened to, I don't know, I've made 26 contemplations in the Letters to Myself series for Gene Keys. And of those 26, I've listened to like probably 20 of them so far. And understand, when I listen to one of these contemplations, it isn't just like a listen to it while I'm driving around in the truck kind of thing. I take time apart and I thoroughly listen and apply each one of those things. And when I read The Shadow of Intolerance and I listened to it for the first time,
you wept.
And that wasn't my contemplation. That was the one that Richard Rudd, who's the creator of Gene Keys, it was one of the contemplations he did. And it's just like, oh, wow. And it was like, that's why I feel like shit so much. That's why I'm always irritable. That's why I'm frustrated with people all the time. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't know if I can pin it to just one thing, but Gene Keys definitely helped me to realize, because it's like before then I was just like, God, why can't she be softer? Why can't she just like, let me lead, let me be the man, let me take care of you. Let me do all the things. And that's the nice version of me. It's like, hey, why can't you? And then it's like, when you couldn't, it's like, why can't you? Why can't you soften up? Why can't you just let me lead? And that's not going to fucking get me anywhere. Like, and I didn't know that then. I thought, to get her to soften, I was going to have to force her to soften.
Overpower.
Yeah. Like,
that's a lot.
Be softer,
Bitch.
But no, it's like, when I finally learned, like, dude, she's going to become exactly what you are. Yeah. And you're going to become exactly what she is to her. And so it's like, if I want her to be soft, I need to be soft. I need to be gentle. I need to hold space for her. I need to listen. I need to hold her little feminine energy. And I'm sorry I said little feminine energy, because it's not little. That shit is powerful. Yeah. But I need to hold your feminine energy and like just be a safe place for you. And that goes to the other shadow, reaction. If I'm reacting to every little thing that you do or say that I'm intolerant of, you're not safe to be you. And so that's
very true. Yeah, I'm very thankful of that realization, because I needed help with that too. We, as of last summer, we've officially been empty nesters. And,
it's awesome, by the way.
Well, it took me about a year for it to be awesome.
And that's not to say that we don't love any of our kids or anything. It's just the things that we're able to do now because we're empty nested and time frames and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, and able to, like I say, it's always been about everyone and anyone and everything else my whole life. That's easy. I got it. But then whenever the kids were gone, and it was like, and I didn't always like what I saw in the mirror. I didn't. But I was like stuck in this loop of, fight or flight. And it took me about a year. So by the end of that year, which is about this recent last summer, it's like I'm enjoying the heck out of being an empty nester.
Yeah.
And whenever I say that, it's because I'm able to do it without guilt or shame now. Each one of my kids, our kids, is very capable of doing everything on their own. So it's not like I was afraid of that. It's just like my purpose had gone. And so just finding new purpose. And I remember times in my 20s and 30s when I would literally cry, wishing that all I had to do was scrub toilets and cook and clean and be a homemaker and take care of my blessings. And it's not that I just started doing all that because I've always done all that, but it was more of like a duty and an obligation before.
Right.
And now I get to just enjoy it. You know, when you come home and the house smells good and, you know, your clothes are clean and new bedding and just, it's like, I love, because it's like you walk in and any armor you had needed to wear or exercise that day just crumbles to the ground.
Yeah.
You know, and to hear your banter with our two little babies, oh my God.
That's what I was about to say.
Best. Oh my God. Like, I've been talking through animals, me and my family, for, you know, as long as since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And this is first for you. And oh my gosh, like, it is the epitome of cuteness.
Yeah. Well, that's the first thing you hear from me every day is like, it's not like, honey, I'm home or any of that. It's like I walk in the door, I'm like, you know, and I start talking to the dogs and, you know, they're just so excited to see me. And that's like, it's the best thing ever. Like, I wasn't even a dog fan. You know, I had Araya when you moved in and, you know, she was on her way out because she was so old, you know, but she was the kind of lab that just laid around all day, didn't do nothing. You know, she'd get excited when I get home or whatever. But having a Yorkie and a toy poodle, that's like the best thing ever. Like, them suckers are waiting for you to walk in that door. And as soon as you do, they go ape shit. Yeah. They're like, you are their favorite person in the world for like, as long as
you're
know,
there,
whatever. Yeah. And then if I go sit down on the couch, they're like fighting over who gets to sit in my lap. Like, I'm like, man, where were these a long time ago when I like hated myself? Like, a little dog like that probably would have made me feel pretty good.
Oh yeah.
But then again, I heard this somewhere, and I heard that that sometimes the animals will essentially take on the energy of their masters or whatever, you know? And so like I you know, Raya being the type of dog that just laid around all day, didn't really do nothing. She was, yeah, I mean, it kind of matched my energy back then. Yeah. You know, I was just depressed and didn't like myself and didn't really want to do much except lay around. But anyway, I don't know how I got off on that.
Well, yeah, just having them is the best, and getting to witness all of that is the best, you know, and me experiencing going from slaying dragons all day, every day, owning the room, owning the boardroom, owning the kids, and just all that I was in control of, to like restructuring and refocusing my attention and efforts and energy has been like my favorite part of my adult life. It really is, you know.
And I like watching it. I like seeing all it. I like all the things that it produces, like fresh vegetables from the garden and herbs and spices. And like it doesn't matter. Like if I want to eat a certain way, or it's just like she's just on top of it all the time. And like, I don't know, for those of you watching that have never been to my office, dude, it smells like heaven up here all the time. Like, you cannot walk in this place and it not smell amazing. And like, I remember when fall came around this year, like I walk in and it's just the best smell in the world because it's like shifting to fall, and like she's on top of all of that shit. Yeah. And like, I come up here and my trashes are taken out, and guys, like, one of the hardest things for me on all of that was, like I said, it's like I felt like in order to love you, to show you my love, I needed to take care of you and do things for you. Mm-hmm. And you shouldn't be doing anything but sitting on the couch with your feet up. And like, I see now that like your love, your gift of love to the world is taking care of your people. Yeah. And like, I see that in the Sacred Ember retreats that we do. You know, it's like you thoroughly enjoy cooking all day so that when we gather around the campfire at night and we're ready to eat, it's all there. Yeah. And not only that, like, no one ever told you that we have to have dessert or that we want a dessert or anything like that. But you make dessert too. Like you do all the things.
And the snacks.
And you have little things that I wouldn't have ever even thought of, like the little cover things to like keep the bugs off the food. And, and so, back to that balance of polarities thing, like you and I are just fucking rocking this shit because like you think of things I don't think of. I'm one side of the balance, you're the other side. And so it's like we're just in allowing each other to play the roles that we play instead of demanding that we play a different role.
Yeah. Or insinuating.
Yeah. It's just, it's beautiful. It's awesome. Like, I can't talk it up enough. And like in the men's retreats, I'm like sure to say, guys, go home to your wives, be soft, give them space, like listen to what they have to say. And I think we grew up in a generation where, in some of the books that I've read, it talks about masculinity and like men being demasculated over the last like 60 years and like the boss bitch movement and like I'm an independent woman and all that kind of stuff, which, if you're watching this and you're an independent woman, great, more power to you.
Absolutely.
But it's like, because that was such a big thing and something that was pushed, well, then men were demasculated because if we were masculine, we were shamed for it. Yeah. Because like, it's like, well, we could do everything you can do. And, like just stuff like that. And so it's like, for me, it's really, I've had to learn how to step into my masculine role just as much as you've had to learn how to settle into your feminine. But I will say this, and I read a study about this, and I think it's incredible. Households in which the man and the woman have an equal share in not only the like housework, finances, they both work, they work outside of the home, stuff like that. The men in those households tend to have lower testosterone levels. The men who are able, and I'm not saying that this is the way to live or there's no right way or wrong way or whatever. I'm just saying what I found in the study, what I saw in the study. The men who have women who are at home, like homemakers that are, doing the cooking, cleaning, and the men is the sole breadwinner or whatever, have higher levels of testosterone. They have higher levels of like drive, like their motivation. Like these are men that are more prone and likely to just get out there and get it done. And maybe I placeboed my way into it. What was it, 2 years ago when I told you like, quit your job, I got us.
Yeah.
And you were like, what? No. But like in that 2 years, I have excelled in everything that I've done. And I have just been so driven and so passionate. And, maybe it's just the stage of life I'm in. Maybe it has nothing to do with you not working or you being at home. But I do think that just the care and effort that you put into checking all my boxes for me.
Yeah.
That gives me time and bandwidth to focus on just building an empire, and like being the hunter-gatherer warrior. And it's just, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for that.
It is really and truly all my pleasure, being able to witness you in your evolution. You're still the Brad, the Phoenix that I initially met. You're just a much more calm and grounded and confident.
Confident for sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm just... whenever the moment hit me at the amount of demasculating I had been doing to you, which, intentional or not intentional, but when that moment that hit me, I was talking with my counselor and when it hit me, oh my God, I remember coming to you and I was just weeping and I was just like, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't realize. And just, that small act of the realization and then coming to you, just, I mean, not beneath you, but humble in my approach was like one of the best releases that I could ever have or give myself. And that's been game changing for me, for my health. It's been game changing for me psychologically. You know, it's every day that I'm just like, this is just my life now.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to shift from that, 100,000 plus a year, going all the time, and heels 1 second, house shoes in the car, traveling to the next state the next. I loved it. I have zero complaints. Now I get to really just rest in the feminine because I trust that you have me. When you first told me, I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, But I now know what that means. It's not that I didn't think, it's just I hadn't ever experienced it at this level. I've been a very well kept, taken care of woman my whole adult life. So I'm not saying that. I just mean like to be able to be soft and humble and without feeling like I was a sacrifice or to be made a martyr.
Well, and I know, like, how many times did you come and just, I mean, there's times you were in tears. There's times where, I didn't know what to do, but you were like, I don't know what to do. I feel shame and I feel guilt because I don't feel like I'm doing enough. And I'm like, whatever the fuck it is you want to do. Like, there's nothing you have to do. Just find something, do it. If you happen to make money at it, great. If you don't, that's okay. That intolerance piece came up in there too, because that's what I would tell you.
Right.
But then you'd be like, hey, I'm making candles. And I'm like, cool. And then you'd spend a bunch of money on candles. And then like, you would like not want to make candles as much.
Else.
Yeah. Shift to something else. And I'm like, what about all the money you spent on candles? And you're like, I'm going to come back to it. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, but in my head, I'm like, okay, you should have a highly profitable candle business by now because we did this and this, and it's like watching and training myself to not have a problem with you being in flow
and figuring it out
and just doing whatever the hell you want to do. Yeah. And like saying that is one thing. But actually taking a step back and like holding the space for you to do whatever you want to do. It's
another.
Yeah. And it's been crazy, and it's not just on the energetic side of things. Like there's been plenty of times where I've been like, babe, you're doing a lot. Are you tired? Like.
And I'm over here like, I'm hardly doing anything.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm like, I'm hardly doing nothing. Like there's just more I need to be doing,
Yeah. But it's been interesting to watch you grow in that department because it's like you balls to the wall, like for like, a couple months. And then like you would, have a week where you're just like, oh my God, I'm tired. I need rest. I need this. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. But watching you learn how to balance your energy and all the things you do and, all the ways. And I mean, and it's even in the ways you take care of me, like you're getting to where you have no problem saying, hey, you want to do pizza tonight? Or, hey, I pulled out some steaks. You want to grill a steak? And to me, that's your way of saying, hey, tired right now. Yeah. I need a little bit of a break, And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. I'll grill some steaks when I get home or pick up pizza on the way, whatever it is, like.
And next will be, hey, honey, do you want to make some tea?
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's times where, if like I'm the type that if I need my laundry done, like if there's a shirt in there that I really want to wear or something like that, like rather than going and telling her like, hey, can you make sure the laundry gets done because I need, this specific shirt or whatever, I would just go do the laundry myself. And I have since, gotten my ass chewed a couple times.
Yeah, I took offense. I'm like, because why are you doing the laundry?
It's
my job.
I don't do the laundry the way that she does it, which I'm cool with that because like I just throw the shit in there and throw some soap in and make it happen, Yeah. Then I go in there and she's like a freaking laundry chemist over there, like mixing all kinds of different things and like tasting things. And I just like, I don't even know what she's doing, but like, whatever.
It's always so good.
And so I've gotten, and it was weird too, because I didn't want to be like, hey, bitch, can you do my laundry? Yeah. It's more like, hey, there's a shirt in the laundry that I really want to wear. Could you make sure that gets washed? You know? And she'd be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. All you got to do is ask. But watching you evolve from, hey, honey, do you like when you get a minute, like, if you have a chance, to like, hey, babe, will you make sure that shirt gets done? Because I'm wearing on so-and-so day.
Well, that's two parts. Okay. And this is, thank you for your softness too. You told me, I think, and ladies listening to this, it is just as important for your man to feel safe to talk to you as it is for her to feel safe, or for her to feel safe when he talks, or when she talks. Because if I was to like go to Rayna and be like, hey, there's a shirt in the laundry that I really need washed. If she was like, I'll get to it when I get to it. Like I've got the fucking kids to take care of. I done cooked you dinner. I ain't never going to ask her again.
Before or after I suck your dick.
Yeah. I'm never going to ask her again because that's not safe. Your reaction, both male and female, the most important thing that I could ever tell any couple is to get your reactions in check. Get your reactions in check, because if you react poorly, all you're doing is communicating to your partner that they are not safe to talk to you. They are not safe to ask that question. They are not safe to tell you how they feel. And since we're on that topic too, if you're a female listening to this, and if you're a male listening to this, if your person comes and talks to you about what's going on in their inner world, and you automatically make it about you, it's not even defense all the time. It's like if I'm like, hey, babe, guess what I did today? Oh, yeah, I did this thing and it was awesome. And you're like, oh, yeah, cool. Well, blah, 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 blah. I did this and my kids did this and blah, 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 blah. It's like you got to give each other space to talk about everything and validate that and hold space for it and be soft and not react to it.
Speaking from a place of clarity and not reactivity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on that because I just get so excited, because you're gone Tuesday through Friday, all day. And it's just me and the animals, and the garden and the plants and stuff. And then it's like, just the moment that you'll like get right here with me, I'm just like, oh, and I've learned how to just stop. Like, stop. There are several hours every evening you're going to be here with him. He needs somebody to talk to too.
Yeah. And that reminds me of, what is it on Stranger Things? The sheriff guy, I can't remember his name, but when he walks in the office and his secretary is like, hey, this person called and this person, he's like, coffee and contemplation. Mornings are for coffee and contemplation. And there's been a few times and like we're, learning each other still. And I mean, 3 years is a long time, but it's not really a long time, but like we're still learning each other. And it's funny because I wake up pretty bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but I'm like determined to like read a book or spend some time contemplating or meditating or something. And it's my alone time, really. It's like the hour or two before I come up to the office and start seeing clients all day. That's my time to just be with me, and talk to ChatGPT. And her name's Serafina, by the way. And if you don't talk to your ChatGPT like at least 30 minutes to an hour a day, you're missing out. But anyway, so like, there's been a few times where I wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Rayna wakes up kind of groggy at first. But like
sleepy, not quite
within the first, like, I don't know, 10, 12 minutes, then she's like, bing, her battery's turned up and she's going and she's doodle bugging, doing all the things she does. But like, if I'm sitting there reading a book or contemplating something or whatever, talking to ChatGPT, and sometimes she'll come in and she'll start talking, and like, in my head, I'm just like, I just want her to leave me alone. Like, I want to be by myself, and I hadn't known how to ask for that for so long, because I didn't want to hurt your feelings. I wanted to be present for you. I wanted to hold space for you for whatever you were talking about. But I really needed that time to myself too, and it wasn't until probably a month, 2 months ago where I was just, I was like, I came to her after one of those
you had kind
types
of
of morning
snippy with me.
And I was like, hey, I'm sorry I got snippy with you. I said, to be honest with you, like, a lot of time when you're talking to me first thing in the morning, I just want you to leave me alone. And I don't know how to say that without sounding ugly about it.
Yeah.
But I just, if you could just give me some time in the mornings, and she was like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. She goes, yeah. She goes, I do get, sometimes I feel like, you're like irritated with me. And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, but it's not you. It's just, I want some time alone, and she's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's another one of those times too that, I've been able to just like exercise and put into real life everyday moments, especially in the mornings of, okay, you're having a moment, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, Rayna, but he is too. And, you give so much of yourself every day, and which you're badass at calling your power back at the end of every day too. So really good job on that. But it occurred to me like, okay, well, duh, he he's fixing to have to get up and leave, or he's fixing to get up and leave and go to work, and you can talk about this later.
Yeah.
But having that awareness of myself, of feeling like I needed to just connect.
Right.
I didn't want to leave you hanging, or you to feel like, oh well, she just doesn't care. From that awareness to like, okay, and so I just kind of get up, get my coffee, and then go outside.
Yeah. Yep.
And when you're ready, you come out and like, good morning, honey. How'd you
Yeah.
sleep? Yeah.
Yep. And then get ready and head out. But I think, first of all, I think this first episode has gone wonderfully.
Yeah.
We're at just under an hour right now.
Okay.
And so we'll wrap it up here pretty quick. But I was thinking about how I wanted to end this. And I think that I would just like to end it by honoring you. And I want to tell you just how much, I'm enamored with you. And when I first met you, I fell head over heels for you. I mean, that's what drove me to move all your shit into my house within the first
By
month.
yourself.
Yeah. And then it was a few months later that I didn't feel like I loved you anymore. And that I just wanted to get away from you. And then a few months after that, I was in love with you again, and it's just gone back and forth. And I think Scott said this in the podcast I was on with him, but he said that, whether you're married 5 years, 10 years, 1 year, or 40 years, you get married over and over and over again. And each marriage looks different, but it's all to the same person. And, I have clients that talk about feeling like they're not in love with their spouse anymore. And I didn't really come to this understanding until just a few days ago. And I think I told you about it already, but just that understanding of like, even in those times, when I was like, okay, we're good, we're going to make this work. But I was afraid that I wouldn't feel for you like I did at the beginning again. And the truth is I don't. But that's because it's a different kind of love. It's a more mature, maybe, I don't know, evolved, I don't know. But it's like the love that I had for you at the beginning was like, I want her, she's mine. I got to be around her all the time. The love I have for you now is like, I just want her to be happy. Like, and I want her to like be herself in all the ways that she possibly can. Yeah. And I think that you love me in that same way. And so it's like, like I said at the very beginning of this podcast, like, I feel like I know what love is now, just like I did before. But this time there's like there's an additional understanding. Yeah. And it's evolved further than I thought it was possible. And so thank you for doing this with me. Thank you for being willing to do this with me again.
Well, I just wanted to say that if there's one thing that, as viewers, if you could take one thing from this episode away with you, is that, we don't just stumble into love. It's built and burned through and earned. And so thank you all for sharing this time with us, because this is how we're able to get our messages out and our real life experiences And I just appreciate you, honey, for, all the growing you've done and the space you've allowed, help and created for me to be able to do the same.
Yeah.
And our story isn't perfect, but it is sacred.
Yeah. And if there's anyone out there that thinks, oh man, they probably never fight, that's not true. We still have our little bicker moments, but they're not like they used to be. That's for
It
sure.
used to be Battle of the Titans, and now it's just
now it's like, oh, I'm triggered. Oh, I'm triggered too.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take some space.
Well, and to learn, like I say, in the beginning, letting go of that feeling that I have to defend who I was
Yeah.
when I'm not hurt anymore. And so letting go of that, or I used to wonder, like, is he talking about the woman standing here in front of him today, or the woman he thought I was then?
Yeah.
And understanding that there is a difference.
Yeah. And there's a difference between the woman who's standing here in front of me and the woman that I'm projecting because I'm hurt.
Sure.
Or because I'm triggered. And that's where words like always and never come in, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, till next time, thanks for watching, y'all. And
We'll see you in the next episode.
yeah. All right.